Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for November 2021 Stampin' Class by Mail. I'm Brenda Cardinal of stampintulip.stampinup.net, and I can't wait for you to make your beautiful holiday cards using the Whimsy and Wonder Suite by Stampin' Up. I've teamed up with fellow demonstrator and team member Gina Wieselman to offer these monthly classes by mail. This month it's Gina's turn to show you how to stamp and assemble your cards, and next month it'll be my turn. Make sure to watch to the end of the video for a sneak peek of the cards I designed for December. Have fun making your cards. Here's Gina.
Thanks, Brenda. Hi, everyone. I'm Gina Wieselman of MySweetPaper.com, and I can't wait to show you how to stamp and assemble your cards using the Whimsy and Wonder suite from Stampin' Up's July to December 2021 mini catalog. If you ordered a class by mail kit from either Brenda or me, you already have all the paper and embellishments cut to size and ready to go. Just pull out the supply items that you'll need for stamping and assembling. Please reach out to either Brenda or me if you need any supplies or would like to talk about becoming a Stampin' Up demonstrator or hosting an event. Let's get started. Our first card is the Blushing Bride Snowflakes card. If you signed up for the Stampin' Class by mail, all of the parts and pieces are part of the kit that was shipped to your house. If you're not taking the class by mail, pause the video here and cut and prep these parts and pieces, which you'll need to assemble your card. Come back when you're done cutting and I'll show you how to stamp and put everything together. We are going to start with stamping just in case we make any mistakes, and we'll be using the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And the stamping on this card is really simple. I have an outside greeting and an inner greeting. So to start with, the outside greeting, "Let your heart be light," will go right on this little strip of Blushing Bride cardstock. And I already punched this using the Banners Pick-a-Punch. So I will just center that, and that is not centered. Flip it over and try again. And that is the exact reason why I always stamp first, because I got a free second shot. All right, and then for my inner greeting, I'm just noting here I have the horizontal layout, so I will ink up this stamp and put that inside. So like I said, very simple stamping on this card, and now we can start with assembly. So I am going to fold my thick basic white card base in half and score right along that, or crease, excuse me, right along that score line. And then I'm going to start layering everything up. So using my Stampin' Seal adhesive, first I'm going to attach the Designer Series paper, which is just beautiful with the iridescent snowflakes. And I'll layer that on the Blushing Bride cardstock. And then that assembly will go right on the front center of my card base. Just peeked inside to make sure I have it oriented correctly. Okay. Next up, we have this really pretty Blushing Bride frayed grosgrain ribbon, and I have that kind of just running right across the center of the card. So you'll notice I cut this to about 6 inches, and I like the look of the angled ends, but I don't have this end angled. So what I'm going to do when I align this is adhere this on so that the one angled side is about where I want it, and then I'll trim the other end. So there are a few different ways you could do this. And what I'm actually going to do is just put a strip of my adhesive right across the center and layer this on. Now I'll grab my paper snips and trim at a diagonal. Oopsies. There we go. The next piece we're going to work with is this vellum scalloped circle, which I die cut using the layering circles dies, and this super pretty snowflake from the wonderful Snowflakes. In your kit, I sent you this with the backing still attached, just so that it didn't get caught and bent on anything. So you can just carefully punch this out. And there you have your really pretty snowflake. And I don't know how much of this you can see on the camera, but there's a really pretty iridescent shimmer to it. If there are any little chads left in here, of course, you can pick those out. But that is so pretty. Okay. Now, to adhere this to the vellum circle, you could certainly use a strip of Stampin' Seal adhesive, but I actually decided to add a little extra layer to it, and it just so happens that this center pretty much perfectly fits a regular size Stampin' Dimensional. So I'm just going to add one of those and peel the release paper, and then center my snowflake on the vellum circle. Next, I'm going to just add a little Stampin' Seal adhesive and run the greeting right across the center. Press that down. Okay. And then to adhere this to the front panel, there are a couple of ways that you could do this. I want to be careful here to make sure that I don't end up with adhesive showing through the vellum. So what I'm actually going to do is just use a couple of my mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put them right on the ribbon. So I'll start with one in the center and then one on either side. And in terms of placement, the only thing really important here is that I don't extend too far to the left or right, because I do want to make sure that my greeting banner covers up these dimensionals. So the little hexagon shapes don't show through the card. So I'm just going to center that up, left and right, top and bottom. And there is our first card design. Of course, if you wanted, you could also stamp and decorate the envelope to go along with this. Our second card design is the Misty Moonlight Tree Fun Fold. And here are the parts and pieces for this design. Like usual, we're going to start with stamping, this time using the Misty Moonlight ink pad. So I'm going to start with the large tree image from the stamp set. Get that nice and inked up, and I'm going to be placing that approximately centered on this panel, which I die cut using the Scalloped Contours dies. I'm also going to take the Joy stamp, ink that up, and add that to the top right. And then the only other stamping is purely optional, depending on what you would like, but I always like to have the inside of my cards a little bit decorative. So one thing to note here, we will be covering up the right side of this panel, but I'm just going to add a couple of ornaments dangling down on the left side. And I just think that's so cute. And of course, if you wanted, you could also grab your envelope and add a little decoration to that as well by stamping those ornaments. And I know some people might wonder, you know, what you do with the return address if you stamp in that upper left corner. And all I do is put my return address on the middle of the back flap. With my stamping complete, the first thing I'm going to do is take my card base and fold that right along the score line. And you'll notice I am not folding it in half. There's a little bit of a gap here to give us that nice little peekaboo effect of the fun fold. So with that, I'm going to start layering up the card elements. First, starting with the inner panel. So I'm going to just take my Stampin' Seal adhesive and add some of that to the really pretty Whimsy and Wonder Designer Series paper. And I'm going to be putting this on the right side of the panel, and I'm just aiming for equal borders on the 3 sides. And then with this, I will add my adhesive, and this is going to go on the inside of the card. And this time I'm going for equal borders on all 4 sides. Okay, so that's how you get that little Designer Series paper peekaboo effect. With this other Designer Series paper, I'm going to create my outer panel. Now I do want to note the back side of this is really pretty and it has that shimmery effect. So if you wanted to flip this over and make your card look like this, I think that would be just beautiful, just lovely. And it still definitely works with the color scheme that we have going on. So please feel free to do that if you would like. I know it's kind of sad to cover up this super pretty Designer Series paper, but I also love the monochromatic look that we have going on this Misty Moonlight card. So I'll center that on the basic white panel and then add my Stampin' Seal to that. And I'm going to be centering this on the flap. Now, as I place this, I'm noting that I should have a pretty much straight line across the basic white. Of course, there's so much going on here that it won't be super obvious if you don't have it perfect. Next, we're going to put together this panel, and I'm actually going to adhere that to the card right away. Now, of course, to note, the panel isn't going to be adhered all the way over. So as you're applying the Stampin' Seal, we want to make sure that we leave a gap on the right side. And so if I'm looking at approximately centering it, I see that if I leave, you know, kind of this edge and then 2 full scallops, I should be safe. So as long as I don't go past there, I shouldn't have to worry. So with my adhesive on, I will go ahead and add this and center that. Now for the next piece that we assemble, I want to note that the silver foil elements that I have die cut for you have adhesive sheets on the back of them. So they're basically stickers. You will have to peel off the adhesive sheet part, and you may want a tool such as the Take Your Pick tool to do that. But if you're wondering why this looks so funny, it's because I didn't want to peel off the backing when I sent it with the kits. So I have part of that coming out. And here comes the backing on this piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and drape this garland right across the Christmas tree. And it's not going to be perfectly aligned, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But I'll just apply some nice firm pressure here. And if you didn't buy one of the kits and you don't have adhesive sheets, I would probably use the liquid multi-purpose glue instead if I had to. So I will take this and I'm just going to use my regular Stampin' Seal to add it to the card front. You could certainly use some Stampin' Dimensionals or mini Stampin' Dimensionals if you wanted, but I like how this looks. Then I'll take this tree and peel off the adhesive sheet from the back. And this is really nice with that adhesive sheet because it's so hard to get adhesive neatly on that skinny little tree trunk. So I'll layer this onto the left. And then finally, the little stars. These might be the trickiest to get that paper off. There we go. And I'm going to put one star right at the top of the center tree, and then the other star on this little Misty Moonlight tree. And bringing this back with our envelope, there is our second card design. Our third card design is the Holiday Gift Pocket Fold. And here are the parts and pieces for this card. Like usual, I'm again going to start with my stamping, this time again with the Mint Macaron ink pad. And I'm going to be stamping my greeting on this outer banner piece, which I have already punched for you using the Treasured Tags Pick-a-Punch. So I will just grab my greeting stamp, ink it up, and I'm going to aim for center. Looks good. I'll just set that aside. And then I'm going to bring in just my scratch paper again, because the next thing I'll be stamping is just some random trees on this basic white piece. So I have the two smaller tree images, and I'm just gonna kind of randomly go ahead. Random can be tricky for me sometimes, so I try not to overthink it too much. Okay, and then totally optional, but if you would like a little decoration on the inside of the fun fold portion, you can ink up and add that. And then, of course, also optional, you can always decorate your envelope. So I can never resist a decorated envelope and the full coordinating appearance of the card. So I'll just add the tree there as well. That is all of our stamping. So I'm going to go ahead and start assembling the card. Using my Stampin' Seal, I will put some adhesive on the basic white panel that we just stamped and adhere that onto the Mint Macaron rectangle. And then for the little pocket at the corner, I have a piece of the Designer Series paper and a piece of Mint Macaron. Both of these are right triangles, and all that I did for these was I cut out a square, a 3.5 inch square for the Mint Macaron, 3.25 inch square for the Designer Series paper, and then I just cut it along the diagonal. So that was a pretty simple way to create this cute little pocket effect. So I'll go ahead and center this piece. And now for attaching this, this portion of the card will, see a little bit of wear and tear because we'll be tucking something in and out. And we also want to make sure that there's enough space, that our adhesive doesn't get over too far. So what I'm going to do is use my tear and tape adhesive. So I'll just come in with a strip of that, and I'm going to add that pretty close to the edge. You'll see I'm not going in toward the center very far, but along each leg of that right triangle so that it goes along the bottom and left. Then I'll peel up my release paper. And the most important thing here is just alignment. You want to make sure that you have it right up to the corner. And so I actually find that picking up the card makes that easiest for me. And I'm going to apply some nice firm pressure again, just because of that wear and tear element. Next, I'm going to add the cute little gifts here. And you will note that these might not look exactly the same. There are so many pretty gift possibilities in the designer series paper. I just went ahead and fussy cut these out, which in terms of fussy cutting, it's pretty much rectangular, so it's really not all that fussy. So if you need to grab your paper snips, go ahead and do that. But I just decided to add some mini dimensionals to my smaller gift so that that got popped up a little bit. So I'll do maybe 3 of those. You can play around with placement and how much overlapping and the exact direction you want the presents to lie. They are somewhat directional, so if you note here, you want to make sure the bow isn't upside down, but there's also some flexibility in positioning too. Okay, I'll just set that aside for a minute. Next up, we're going to assemble the portion of the card that actually goes in the pocket. So I will take my Blushing Bride cardstock and my bone folder again and crease that along the score line. And then all I have to do for the outside is add this stunning designer series paper. I think the gifts are so cute. Again, do note the directionality, so I don't want my bows to be defying gravity here. Okay, center that up, and then I will go ahead and add the basic white panel on the inside. Next, we need to create our greeting panel. So what we have here again is our punched banner, which we've stamped. And then I have 2 little kind of tails of silver foil. And now the reason that I did that is I just want a little bit of flexibility in terms of how much silver I want showing through. So by making sure that I, haven't cut it exactly to size, I retain a little bit more flexibility in that. And I'm just gonna put my adhesive on one side, the non-punched side, and then I can decide how much I wanna see. And I'll do the same thing with the opposite side. Of course, aiming for equal amounts on either side. And it looks like I have just a tiny little bit of silver peeking through here. So I'll take my paper snips and just trim that. Looks like maybe even a smaller amount right up here. Okay. And then we'll take the Simply Elegant trim, and I'm just going to wrap it around my fingers, oops, so that it makes 2 complete circles. And then grabbing the end, I make a figure 8, and then I kind of just fluff it out. And you can decide, I was torn about which direction I wanted this to go on the card, but I'm just going to secure it on the back of the greeting using some good old Scotch tape. And I find that it's actually a really good width given this panel, and it's easy enough, and I have it available. So notice I didn't press down super hard right away, because if I need to resituate, I want to be able to do that. Okay. And then I'm just going to take my Stampin' Dimensionals and add, maybe I'll do 3 of them along the back. And one other nice trick, if you don't have Scotch tape on hand or if you don't feel like using it, you can actually just overlap the dimensionals with the trim to hold it to the back of this panel. So that's a fun little trick. And then placement wise, I am not going to center this because remember, part of this will be tucked in that pocket. So I'm going to put it maybe 1.5 inches from the top, but the actual placement here doesn't really matter as long as it's not too far down. So with that portion assembled, I will just slide that right in our little pocket here. And with the envelope back out, here is our third pocket fun fold design. Of course, it wouldn't be a Stampin' Class by Mail without some bonus card designs to share. So here are some that I put together. This first one is the same as the pocket fold that we just assembled, just different designer series paper. In this case, I used a basic white, a thick basic white piece for that insert, and I didn't add any stamping to the background here. But I just love this fun fold design, especially because it showcases the really beautiful designer series paper that's part of this suite. One of the most challenging aspects of design for me is finding a layout that I like that seems balanced. So once I find something that I like, such as this card design, I like to, kind of take the easy route and switch it up a bit. So almost identical card here, just different color scheme, different designer series paper. And then this one uses that really beautiful ornament designer series paper, which we saw on the reverse side of this sheet. But I wanted to spice it up a little bit, take advantage of the non-traditional color scheme here. And so I used polished pink as the accent color. You'll also see I decided to use the Scallop Contours dies on Mint Macaron and then just mount a little rectangle with that stamped image on it. I had a really hard time choosing which of these 3 designs to include with the class by mail. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment on the video and let me know which one is your favorite. Here's another design, again showing off the really pretty designer series paper and the grosgrain ribbon. And in this case, I wanted to use the large Christmas tree die, and I just love that they have this swag or garland in the suite. Again, monochromatic Misty Moonlight, this time displaying one of the other dies, again in the silver foil, which I just love. This is another fun fold, so it actually opens up like this, and then at the bottom, and I used the Scallop Contours dies to cut these elements, so I think that's pretty fun. And then last but not least, I really just loved the non-traditional color scheme here. So I wanted to play up that polished pink again and include some fun colored trees here. And to add this polished pink effect in the background, I used one of these blending brushes. They're super soft and they give a nice effect with the color. So I just rubbed that around in roughly a circle. We have so many different card design options here. So I hope you find something that you really love to use your supplies. And of course, we also have bonus designs on the Pinterest board, and Brenda will share more about that in a second. Thanks for participating in this month's Stampin' Class by Mail. And now here's Brenda.
Thanks for showing us how to make those whimsical holiday cards, Gina. Make sure to follow the link in the email that shared this video with you to access a special Pinterest board that Gina and I curated with even more fun ideas of how to make use of your supplies. Next month, it's my turn to design and share the cards with you, and I'm excited to show you a sneak peek of the 3 card designs featuring the Eden's Garden bundle and the coordinating Stampin' Up products. This new bundle will be found in the upcoming January to June 2022 mini catalog, but you can get it right now during the Eden's Garden promotion. Be sure to snatch up the Ever Eden Designer Series paper, cotton paper, and garden gems now while supplies last through January 3rd, 2022. These 3 products will not be part of the offering in the new mini catalog. If you order this class kit by mail, you'll receive all the paper cut and ready to go, embellishments and envelopes shipped right to your door. You'll just need to purchase the Eden's Garden stamp set and the Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent ink pads if you don't already have them. There are a few other supply items you'll need to complete your cards as shown. Here's a quick list. The registration deadline to guarantee your kit for this class is December 5th, 2021. After that date, we'd be happy to send you a kit if we still have some available. Contact us today to order your kit or kits. We'd love to get your feedback about our Stampin' class by mail. Whether you are a class participant or not, send us an email with the subject line November 2021 Stampin' class by mail and let us know what you liked about our class video or anything that you think might be helpful to make our videos even better. As a thank you for emailing, we'll send you a completed card with envelope from our stash if you include your mailing address in that email as well. Until next month, happy stamping, everyone!